For the first time in Asia, connect your landphone and smartphone through SLT Wi-Fi with the SLT Voice app.
Tonight, together we're strong. President Maithripala Sirisena addresses Asian leaders, including Russia's Putin and China's Xi, calls Asian nations to not let outside powers suppress the strength of Asia. Not pleased, Maha Sangha displeased over proceedings of the Parliamentary Select Committee probing Easter terror. A change of heart. Muslim ministers to hold talks on accepting ministerial posts they themselves vacated. Kabir Hashim says he will heed the advice of Buddhist clergy. Give clarity. Will improper definition of hate speech cost freedom of speech?
Clarity of what hate speech is, we need all that in order for a coherent response to genuine hate speech.
All this and much more coming up tonight on First at 9, this Saturday, the 15th of June 2019.
මොහොන සති කීපයකට කලින් Fair and Lovely men ගෑවට පස්සේ මාක්ස් අඩු වෙලා fairness වැඩි වෙලා.
මාක්ස් අඩු කරලා ඔයාගේ fairness standard එක වැඩි කරගන්න. Fair and Lovely men anti marks cream.
From AdaDerana, this is AdaDerana First at 9. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
World leaders are making controversial and bold statements in Tajikistan, where a key conference is happening, and Sri Lankan President Maithripala Sirisena called on Asian countries to not allow outside powers to suppress the power of Asia. President Sirisena, who addressed the 5th summit of heads of state of the conference on interaction and confidence building measures in Asia, held in Tajikistan today, also pointed out that cooperation among nations is essential to face the challenges of terrorism. Leaders of China, Russia, Iran, Turkey and other countries of Asia are attending the summit, which aims at enhancing cooperation towards promoting peace, security and stability in the Asian region.
The 5th Summit of Heads of State of the Conference on Interaction and Confidence-Building Measures in Asia was held in Dushnab in Tajikistan today. The 26-member Conference on Confidence-Building Measures in Asia includes Russia and many Central Asian and Middle Eastern nations.
පසුගිය අප්‍රේල් 21 වෙනිදා ශ්‍රී ලංකාවට එල්ලූ ත්‍රස්ත ප්‍රහාරය මා මෙහිදී ඉතාමත් වේදනා සහගතව ප්‍රකාශ කරනවා. ශ්‍රී ලංකා රජයටත් මගේ ආරක්ෂක හමුදාවලටත් ත්‍රස්තවාදයේ පරාජය කිරීමේ ශක්තිය පැහැදිලිවම තිබෙනවා. ඒ නිසා සීකා සමුළුවේ සමාජිකත්වයේ රටවල මේ සමුළුවේ ප්‍රධාන වශයෙන්ම ත්‍රස්තවාදය පරාජය කිරීම සඳහා සියලු දෙනාගේ සහෝදරත්වය සහ බැඳීම ඉතාමත් අවශ්‍යයි. ආසියාවේ බලය යටපත් කිරීමට වෙනත් බලවතුන්ට ඉඩ දෙන්න එපා කියලා මා මෙහිදී ඉල්ලා සිටිනවා. ඉදිරි සියවස ආසියාවේ සිය වශයෙන් සාමයත් ආර්ථික ශක්තියත් සෑම අතින්ම බලවත් වී යුතුයි කියා මා විශ්වාස කරනවා. සාමය දුගීභාවය අහෝසි කිරීමට වැදගත් වගේම දුගීභාවය අවම කිරීමට නැති කිරීමට ත්‍රස්තවාදය අවසන් කළ යුතු වෙනවා. ඒ නිසා ප්‍රධාන වශයෙන්ම සීකා අරමුණුවලදී ප්‍රධාන වශයෙන්ම සමගිය සාමය ඉතා වැදගත් ආර්ථික අරමුණු ශක්තිමත් කර ගැනීම ඉතාමත් වැදගත්.
Registrar of the Askiriya chapter, Venerable Dr. Madhagama Dhammananda Thera, says that the Maha Sangha is not pleased with the proceedings of the Parliamentary Select Committee probing the Easter Sunday attacks. Speaking to UNP parliamentarian Kabir Hashim yesterday, the Venerable Thera went on to say that this has created a crisis within the government and highlighted that the society is being negatively impacted by Muslim politicians distancing themselves from politics at a time as this.
UMP MP Kabir Hashim called on the Chief Prelate of the Askiriya chapter, Most Venerable Varakaguru Sri Gnana Ratana Thera, last evening.
චෝදනාවක් නැති දේශපාලනඥයන් මුස්ලිම් දේශපාලනඥයන් මේ බද්ධ වෙලා තිබෙන දේශපාලන ඒ කටයුතුත් එක්ක බැඳිලා සිටින තත්ත්වයෙන් වෙන් වෙලා ගියොත් අපිට රේඛාවක් වගේ වෙන්වීමක් බෙදීමක් ඇති වෙන සමාජයේ තුල ජනවාර්ගික වශයෙන් ඒක අහිතකර පැත්තක් වෙනවා. ඒ වගේම දැනට මේ පාර්ලිමේන්තුව තුළ ඒ තීරීම් කාරක සභා කමිටුව තුළ සිද්ධ වෙන ක්‍රියාදාමය පිළිබඳව දැන් මේ වෙනකොට ප්‍රසාදයක් නැහැ. ඒක අපේ රජය රාජ්‍ය තන්ත්‍ර වශයෙන් විශාල අර්බුදයකට නිර්මාණය කරලා තියෙනවා.
මේ සංස්කෘතිය නිකම් වෙනම පෙන්වන්න උත්සාහ කරපු කණ්ඩායමට අපි ඉඩ දුන්නා වැඩිද කියන ප්‍රශ්නේ අපේ සමාජ
වැඩිනේ නැතින කඩේ උත්තර දෙනවා.
ඒවට නෑ අපි පොලිසියටත් කිව්වා හමුදාවටත් කිව්වේ පුළුවන් තරම් මේ හොයලා තියෙන ඒවා හඳුනගෙන හොයාගත්තා නම් ඒකට අවශ්‍ය පියවර ගන්න.
ඒ කිසි දෙයකින් පියවර ගත්තේ නෑ.
එහෙම දැන් වැරදි කරපු අය සමාජය තුළ තාම ඉන්නවා නම් ඒ අයට දඬුවම් නොදෙන හේතුවක් තියෙනවා නම් ඒකේ ඒ හේතුවට
දෙන හේතුව අපිට පේන්නේ හැටියට ඡන්ද ටික
අපේ පැත්තෙන් අපේ අඩුවක් වෙලා ඇති. එක සුළුතර කණ්ඩායමක් අපේ සංස්කෘතිය අපේ ආගම විකෘති කරලා විවිධ විදේශ සංස්කෘතීන් විවිධ අදහස් මේක ඇතුළට රිංගවලා මුස්ලිම් ප්‍රජාව පාවිච්චි කරලා තියෙනවා. අපි මේවා අහක බලාගෙන හිටියා. දැන් අපි තීරණය කරලා තියෙනවා ප්‍රධාන ධාරාවේ ඉන්න අපි ඒක වෙනස් කරන්න.
ඉදිරි අමාත්‍යවරු බාර ගන්නවද?
වගකීම් බාර ගන්න කියලා ඉල්ලීමක් කරනවා නම් මම මගේ දිස්ත්‍රික්කයට සේවය කරන්න ඕනේ. මගේ ජනතාවට සේවය කරන්න ඕනේ. මම එතන ඉන්නවා.
ඉදිරියේදී ජනාධිපතිවරණය මේවරත් පොදු අපේක්ෂකෙක් ඉදිරිපත් කරනවා.
මේවර එක්සත් ජාතික පක්ෂයේ අපේක්ෂකෙක් තමයි අපි නම් කරන්නේ.
Well, following UNP parliamentarian Kabir Hashim's discussion with the Maha Sangha last evening, he announced that he will pay heed to the advice of the Maha Sangha. Meanwhile, speaking to media today, UNP MP Abdul Halim said that Muslim parliamentarians who stepped down from their positions earlier this month will meet next Tuesday in Parliament, where they will take a final decision on whether they will accept their ministerial positions once again.
Muslim parliamentarians who resigned from their ministerial positions earlier this month met with the chief incumbent of the Askiriya chapter, Most Venerable Varakagura Sri Gnana Ratanathera, and the Anunayikas of the Malwatu chapter at the Asgiri Mahaviharya recently. Speaking to the clergy, parliamentarian Rauf Hakim said that their decision to collectively resign should be seen as a symbolic move in order to prevent further issues taking place in the country. In response, Anunayaka of the Askiri chapter, Venerable Anamaduwa Dhammadasithera, said that their decision to step down from their positions was interpreted to the country as though it was done to show solidarity with a certain group.
I have spoken to MP Rishad Badiuddin personally. I have spoken to the President and people who are in your position on numerous occasions and advised them that if there are any allegations to hold necessary investigations and resolve the issue. We would not be in such a critical position if this happened. We are not happy in the way that investigations are being conducted. We are unhappy how intelligence officers are being revealed in Parliament and how they are trying to find who is to be held accountable.
Archbishop of Colombo, His Eminence Malcolm Cardinal Ranjit, visited the Zion Church in Batticaloa today. This is the Cardinal's first visit to the occasion since the church was also a target of a string of terror attacks on Easter Sunday.
Archbishop of Colombo, His Eminence Malcolm Cardinal Ranjit visited the Zion Church in Batticaloa this morning, which was damaged in the explosion carried out by one of the suicide attackers on Easter Sunday. Security was seen beefed up at the church premises during his visit.
We are concerned about everybody, whether they are Christians or not Christians, any human person who is in difficulties and trouble, we need to look after them. So it is our responsibility also as Christians. So we want to show you our closeness, our solidarity.
The Archbishop also offered assistance for the reconstruction of the church. The Cardinal later met with the victims of the attack.
We are really grateful.
Already we are full in that.
Meanwhile, the residents in Batticaloa today expressed objection over the burial of Mohamed, the suicide bomber who carried out the attack at Zion Church in Batticaloa. The body had been taken back to the area hospital following objections.
International police said that the arrest of Ahmed Milhan Hayathu Mohamed, a 29-year-old Sri Lankan national wanted on charges including terrorism and murder, along with 4 other suspects in the Middle East, was made possible following a red notice issued as part of the support to the investigation provided by Interpol. Yesterday, Sri Lankan police announced that the arrest of 5 Sri Lankans wanted in connection with the Easter bombings that killed 258 people were arrested in Saudi Arabia and extradited on Friday. According to a communique published on the Interpol website, Chief of Interpol Jürgen Stock was quoted as saying that the arrest and extradition of one of the key suspects in the Sri Lankan bomb attacks is an important step in the ongoing investigation, and that red notices are a powerful tool in helping its member countries cooperate seamlessly across borders in order to locate and bring international fugitives to justice. A red notice is a request to law enforcement worldwide to locate and provisionally arrest a person pending extradition, surrender or similar legal action. Former governor of the Eastern Province, MLAM Hezbollah, arrived at the Terrorism Investigation Division this morning to record a statement pertaining to a discussion he held with 2 Arabian nationals the day after Easter Sunday on the 21st of April. Now, based on video footage which emerged on the particular incident, the former governor admitted to having discussions with 2 Arabian investors on the 22nd of April at a hotel in Calcutta. The ex-governor left the Terrorism Investigation Division premises today after recording a statement for over 8 hours. Responding to journalists after he came out of the TID, the former governor rejected all allegations levelled against him while expressing readiness to face consequences if found at fault. Meanwhile, protests were conducted at Nur Elliot today, calling for the arrest of former Minister Rasad Badruddin and former governors MLAM Hezbollah as well as Azad Saleh. Now, opposition leader Mahinda Rajapaksa says that he will make an appeal to the President and the Premier on behalf of the people of Sri Lanka to unite and reconvene cabinet. The opposition leader made this remark responding to journalists at his Carlton residence today.
දැනට කැබිනට් එක පිළිබඳ ආන්දෝලනාත්මක තත්ත්වයක් උදාලා තියෙනවා කැබිනට් එක රැස් වෙන්නේ නැතුව 19 වෙනි සංශෝධනය තුල ඇතිවෙච්ච ප්‍රශ්නේ නෙමෙයි කල්පනා කරන්නේ නැතුව අපිට පහර දීම සඳහා ඉදිරිපත් කරවපු 19 තුල ඇති වෙලා තියෙන දරුණුම තත්ත්වය මේකයි. දැන් අද මේ දෙන්න අතර ගැටුමක් තියෙනවා. ඒ ගැටුම දිගින් දිගට ගිහිල්ලා තමයි මේ තත්ත්වයට ඇති වුණේ කැබිනට් එක රැස් වෙන්නේ නැති තත්ත්වයකට. මේ දෙන්නගේ රණ්ඩුව ජනතාවට බරපතවන්න බෑ. රට විනාශ කරන්න දෙන්න බෑ. ඒ නිසා මේ කට්ටිය එකතු වෙන්න ඕන. මේ දෙන්න එකතු වෙලා වහාම ලබන කැබිනට් මණ්ඩලයේ තියෙන දවසට රැස් වෙන්න ඕන කියලා තමයි අපේ මතය. ජනතාව වෙනුවෙන් අපි ඉල්ලා සිටිනවා මේ දෙගොල්ලොන්ගෙම එක්සත් ජාතික පක්ෂයනොත් ඒ වගේම ජනාධිපතිතුමාගෙනොත් ඉල්ලනවා කොම් පැහැදිලිව රැස් වෙලා මේ තත්ත්වය ඇති කරන්න ඕන කියලා.
Former President of Maldives and the present Maldivian Speaker of Parliament, Mohamed Nasheed, expressed his views on the need for cooperation amongst the international community in order to combat global terrorism. Now, he expressed these views speaking to media in Colombo during his visit with the delegation.
President Nasheed, you must be aware that Muslims living in Sri Lanka have raised concern about being demonized, being targeted, framed by authorities after the Easter attacks. Have Maldivians living in Colombo or in any other part of Sri Lanka faced any such discrimination?
The Maldivians are hoping that their visas will be extended limitlessly, and they keep on talking about that they want to stay in Sri Lanka, in Colombo, and continue to do the same things as they were doing before. No one is worried and trying to leave, and they are asking the authorities to ease restrictions. Already visa matters are fairly relaxed, but they are seeking a more relaxed visa regime for the Maldivians.
So the request is for them to return with the men after they have remarried?
The international community understood what happened when the Taliban fell in Afghanistan. How instantly that created the Al-Qaeda. The Mujahideens then turning to become Al-Qaeda. Now, we always knew that once the fight is over in the Middle East, that they would somehow want to get a footing elsewhere. Yes, because a number of Maldivians took part in that fight. We want to make sure that they don't make their footing in the Maldives. And we are hopefully looking into a situation where they don't have a footing anywhere. I think it's really an international community issue. We can't ask countries to take them back as it is. We do not know the situation that they've gone through. And in fact, we don't have the capacity to rehabilitate these people to the extent that it will not have a further impact on society. I think the international community should join together and decide on what we should do to the returnees. Hopefully there will be an international arrangement where they are first received, not necessarily to their countries of origin or nationality, but a certain apparatus arrangement where they are received somewhere and then understood. I don't think that we should just sit and say, they can come back with the first flight that they can catch.
How can we introduce social media controls and laws without curtailing free speech? Let's talk about that after this break. In a backdrop of recent situations of unrest largely resulting from social media, Sri Lanka's Cabinet of Ministers gave the go-ahead to revise the Penal Code and Code of Criminal Procedure to enable legal action against individuals guilty of hate speech and spreading disinformation. Now, the culpable will be subjected to a fine of 1 million rupees or an imprisonment not more than 5 years. When we took up the matter with social activist Nalaka Gunawardena, he pointed out that existing laws are sufficient to bring to book perpetrators of hate speech, but noted that the enforcement of these laws are at a sorry stage. On the other hand, Gunawardena warned that the failure to identify a proper definition of hate speech could come at the expense of freedom of speech.
Hate speech is already addressed and covered in ICCPR Act number 57 of 2007, which clearly defines hate speech in legal terms and also provides the punishment to those who are found guilty of hate speech. So as our law has already defined hate speech, there is no need to have new laws in my view. We just need to enforce it properly. When we look at how the ICCPR Act has been enforced for the past dozen years, that's a very, very sorry record. For most of the time, it was not enforced at all.
Gunawardena moved to clarify the concept of the right to freedom of expression, which he says is critical in order to effectively identify hate speech.
So the right to freedom of expression includes the right to say things that shock, disturb or offend. Clarity in judges and in the whole judicial justice process of what hate speech is and isn't. We need all that in order for a coherent, fair response to genuine hate speech, calling for violence against various minorities, and to separate that from everything else that some crybabies find offensive is critically important if we are to tackle this problem correctly. Otherwise, it can become a ruse for governments and various pressure groups, various advocacy lobbies to crack down on freedom of speech.
So what can be done in order to strike a balance between responding to hate speech and upholding the right to freedom of speech?
At the bottom of all these discussions on disinformation and fake news is the question, who decides what the truth is and whose truth prevails in the news and current affairs realm? Is it the government's version? Is it the state media's version? So criminalizing disinformation needs to be done very, very carefully, because very quickly, very easily, that provision can be misused by governments, by political parties, parties to crack down on criticism, crack down on political commentary, legitimate speech. Therefore, we need to explore non-legal, non-regulatory methods of containing and responding to disinformation, increasing our media literacy, improving our digital literacy, and building the ability of each citizen to critically consume information that reach them.
On to business news now. The Asian Development Bank provided a $50 million loan to Sri Lanka's Regional Development Bank with a sovereign guarantee for micro, small and medium enterprises. Now, the loan is expected to assist Regional Development Bank to strengthen its operational capacity for MSMEs to access financial services under the Enterprise Sri Lanka Loan Scheme. The ADB said in a statement that limited access to finance is a key barrier facing entrepreneurs in Sri Lanka, with only about 30% of Sri Lankan firms having sufficient access to bank loans and other capital, and these constraints are even greater for micro and small enterprises led by women or located in rural areas. The loan agreement was penned at the Ministry of Finance yesterday. In some international business, Saudi Energy Minister Khalid Al-Falih has said that he is hopeful that oil producers will be able to balance the oil market before next year. Falih said earlier this month that the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries, or OPEC, was close to agreeing to extend a pact on cutting oil supplies beyond June, although more talks were still needed with non-OPEC countries that were part of the production deal.
Well, I'm concerned about the volatility we have seen in the fourth quarter of 2018, and I hope we can arrest it and bring it under control. I think early signs this year are positive. We've seen the fundamentals lead the markets into a positive territory, and time will tell. Of course, we'll remain vigilant and do what we have to do. We've already done it. I think we've done enough. I've been decisive in our action. Not only the kingdom but other countries. We've heard from the Emirates, talked repeatedly to my colleague from Iraq, and they've already taken action. Russia has started, slower than I like, but they've started, and we will, I'm sure, as they did in 2017, ultimately catch up and be a positive contributor to rebalancing the market.
The United States has allowed Iraq to import Iranian gas for its power grid for another 3 months by extending a waiver to sanctions, but insists that Baghdad seek alternative sources. Iraq has had several extensions to the waiver, first granted last year after Washington reimposed sanctions on Tehran's oil sector, forbidding countries from purchasing Iranian energy. Now, the U.S. State Department has said in an emailed statement that the United States continue to insist on diversifying energy imports away from Iran. Let's bring you sports news after this short break. Taking you to international news now. Hong Kong leader Carrie Lam delayed indefinitely a proposed law that would allow extraditions to mainland China in a dramatic retreat after widespread anger over the bill sparked the biggest street protests in 3 decades. Now, the extradition bill, which would cover Hong Kong's 7 million residents as well as foreign and Chinese nationals in the city, was seen by many as a threat to the rule of law in the former British colony. Around 1 million people marched through Hong Kong last Sunday to oppose the bill, according to protest organizers, the largest since protests in the city against the bloody suppression of pro-democracy demonstrations centered around Beijing's Tiananmen Square on the 4th of June 1989. Demonstrations continued through the week and were met with tear gas beanbag rounds and rubber bullets from police, plunging the city into turmoil and piling heavy pressure on Lam. Also in international news, Iran will continue scaling back compliance with the nuclear deal unless other signatories to the pact show positive signals. Addressing leaders of Russia, China and other Asian countries at the Conference on Interaction and Confidence-Building Measures in Asia being held in Tajikistan, Iranian President Hassan Rouhani said, obviously, Iran cannot stick to this agreement unilaterally. Now, tensions with the United States have escalated over tanker attacks in the Gulf region, but Iran stopped complying in May with some commitments in the 2015 nuclear deal that was agreed with global powers. This came after the United States unilaterally withdrew from the accord in year 2018 and ratcheted up sanctions on Tehran.
بدیهی است ایران به صورت یک طرفه نمیتواند طرف متحد به برجام باقی بماند بلکه سایر کشورها نیز لازم است سهم خود را برای حفظ این توافق مهم بپردازند.
Russian President Vladimir Putin meanwhile said Russia believes the only sensible decision is for all deal participants to honor their commitments.
Беспокоит и положение дел вокруг совместного всеобъемлющего плана действий по иранской ядерной программе. Выход США из этой договоренности значительно осложнил ее реализацию. Негативно сказывается на общей обстановке в отношении режима нераспространения ядерного оружия. Полагаем, что единственное разумное решение – продолжение выполнения участниками плана своих обязательств. И Россия именно так и намерена поступать.
In your sports news, Royal College Colombo took home the 75th Bradby Shield despite the astounding victory secured by Trinity College Kandy in the second leg held at the Royal College grounds today. At the end of the first half of the second leg today, Trinity remained ahead of the game with a score of 12-3, while another 12 points were collected in the second half, with Royal College scoring just 10 points. According to the total tally scored from both the first and the second leg of the Bradby Shield, Royal remained 6 runs ahead of Trinity, declaring them winners of the 75th Bradby Shield. And that wraps up tonight's edition of the AdaDerana English service, first at 9. Do log on to www.adaderana.lk for the very latest. I'm Indira Yamuatha. Good night.